One may ask if a form of sacred dance in the Middle Age existed. Indeed, the Church has an ambiguous attitude towards dance during the first few centuries of Christianity through the beginning of the 16th century, sometimes allowing dance to be used in worship or in certain religious acts, and sometimes vehemently forbidding it. Little by little, the Church began to tolerate and sometimes even institutionalize paraliturgical dance practices. Examples include the dance of the devoted during church vigils and the celebration of saints, dance performed at major centers of pilgrimage and during major religious festivals, coronations, birth of prince, and for the welcoming to the powerful, bishops or abbots. Sometimes the canon clergy participate in this happy welcoming dance and practiced dance in the church during certain festivals. As an example, the clergy of the cathedrals used dancing during the Tripodium, a festival showed between the people and the city and the church when the latter opened their door to the public, thereby creating an interdependence between the two cultures. The song used for secular dance should not take the place of prayers, as this would surely bring on a perverted and excessive use of devotional and sacred dance. Starting in the 12th century, the Catalan Benedictine Abbey of Santa Maria de Montserrat became a great place of pilgrimage. The Llibre Vermell de Montserrat is a handwritten collection of religious texts written and preserved in the abbey since the 14th century. The lyrics and musical score of 10 dances, including 3 balredons and a tripodium rotundum, are noted in this book written in Catalan, Oc language, or in Latin. A small text explains the reason for the composition of this piece. Because sometimes the pilgrims want to sing and dance during the vigils in the Church of the Holy Virgin of Montserrat, and also during the day in the public square, and because we only must sing honest and pious song, some are noted below and above. Thus, they must be used with honesty and parsimony, so as not to disturb those who persevere in prayers and contemplative devotion, and that all watchmen must apply this with insistence while spending their time in devotion. We have chosen to render Cuncti simus concanentes, a hymn to the birth of the Virgin. The only indication that we have about the dance that accompanies this song in the group of 3 words in Catalan inscribed in red under the title A Balredon, which can translate but a circle dance. We do not have any indication of dance step or choreography noted historically before the middle of the 15th century. The idea of the dance step appears after that point in time. Actually, the process of the medieval dance is unique. The moves, steps, body shifting, arm movement, etc. are generated by the song and the music. They are basic steps that are found in dance treatises in the 15th century, their basic form being relatively simple. By using these steps, we can recreate the dance and apply to this any form of Middle Age dance music. The steps and the movements can be matched to the music of the dance, with little group of notes easily heard. The medieval dance does not follow a regular step structure. Body gesture, movement of feet, arms, bust or head all follow an irregular musical and rhythmic structure. Dance music, including singing, is not always regular in tempo or in structure. In the 13th and 14th century, most dances were sung by a leader, the chorus of dancers responding or not on certain phases of the dance. By proposing a song, the leader demonstrates a sequence of steps in line with the music that the dancer followed and repeated with each musical phrase. Therefore, there was no need to learn the step by heart, as each dance is reinvented each time it is performed. To recreate Cuncti simus and its musical transcription, Xavier Terraza restored the notation of the minimae, which gives the sensation that the beginning of the musical phrase is in binary, even though the whole piece is in ternary. This slight difference is very important for this dance, because it conveys a different energy to the dancers. We are proposing a series of simples, 1 step, and doubles, 3 steps in a row, some being done while turning. The movements are shown by the leader. The steps facing the circle remind us to the step danced in the Sardane. We include them in the dance after a Catalan musicologist, Laura de Castellet, told us that Cuncti simus is still sung nowadays and that it's familiarly called La Sardane by the singers. The successions of steps generate an overall energy that allows the dancer to unite within the movement, but also in a prayer by responding to the phrase being sung.
Cuncti simus concanentes, Ave Maria.
Cuncti simus concanentes, Ave Maria.
Virgo sola existente, ena fuit angelus, Gabrieles appellatus, atque missus ceritus, clala facieque dixit, Ave Maria.
Clala facieque dixit, Ave Maria.
Cuncti simus concanentes, Ave Maria.
Cuncti simus concanentes, Ave Maria.
Clara facieque dixit, audite carissimi.
Clara facieque dixit, audite carissimi.
En concipies Maria, Ave Maria.
En concipies Maria, Ave Maria.
Cuncti simus concanentes, Ave Maria.
Cuncti simus concanentes, Ave Maria.
En concipies Maria, audite carissimi.
En concipies Maria, audite carissimi.
Pariesque filium, Ave Maria.
Pariesque filium, Ave Maria.
Cuncti simus concanentes, Ave Maria.
Cuncti simus concanentes, Ave Maria.
Pariesque filium, audite carissimi.
Pariesque filium, audite carissimi.
Vocabis eum Iesum, Ave Maria.
Vocabis eum Iesum, Ave Maria.
Cuncti simus concanentes, 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 Ave Maria.
The Pilota dance has reached us through different means. Most of the text quote it, but a text from the beginning of the 16th century gives a description. This text is a report of a trial given to a clergyman who did not want to participate at a festival. The translation of the text is important, and each word gives us indication to understand its choreography. Accepting the pilota of a disciple or novice canon, the elder, or someone replacing him for the day, wore, like all the other, an amice on his head, sang the antiphon appropriate to the Eastern celebration, the incipit Victime Pascali Laudes. Then, seizing the pilota on the left side, he moved to the cadence of the tripudium, all the other holding hands and leading the chorea around the labyrinth. During that time, the pilota was through or passed by one or many, taking turn in intervals and returning from the performers to the elder, like a garland. The organ was used play in rhythm with the chorea. The prose and the salutation done, the ones who has danced crowned to it, there, held form the chapter, but also the chaplain, the officiated priest and the notable of the city, all sat in the chore, in the stalls, and also in the halls. A list of food for the party follows. The text is both explicit and fragmentary, but it helps understand the ambience of the ceremony. The pilota is a small orange hard linen or leather ball used for the game of soul, a form of medieval rugby, often played in cathedral, abbeys or monastery by clerics or monks. On Easter Day, a new ball was offered to the cathedral by the last of the clerics named in the chapter. We can trace this tradition back to the 14th century. The hamis is a hood owned by her all canon clerics, and they had to wear it in a very specific way. The prose or sequence is transcribed by Christophe Deligne, and Jean Roux arranged it for the singers. The medieval musical scores do not show any indication of tempo or rhythm, so that each musician can adapt it to his or her own use, with either the cadence of the tripudium or the chorea. We do not translate tripudium because the word has several meanings. It defines the religious festival that brings the church and the people together, but also describes the dances that were performed at various festivals. The elder canon starts to sing and dance at the same time. For the elder, as for the other canons, we have chosen double suite. These steps are fairly easy so the dancer are able to sing the response as well as the focus on the coming and going of the pilota. We are not translating the word chorea either, as it would mean dance in chain together. The descriptive festivities took place on the labyrinth of the Cathedral of Auxerre, France, destroyed in 1690. Because the labyrinth symbolized, among other things, the passage of Christ in the underworld and his resurrection, it was significant that the dance was performed on it. This dance represents a communion of the community of canons through a highly symbolic game whose true meaning has been lost. The ball may have symbolized Christ of Easter or Sun. The fact that the ball was offered by a novice, youth, to elder, old age, and that it was tossed in turn and within themselves between the whole dancer and the elder, may represent perhaps life and its action which are offered to everyone. As well, the labyrinth circumvolutions may be interpreted as the passage of Christ to hell before his resurrection. This circle dance above the labyrinth may also recall the harmony of the sphere, from which a large part of the medieval musical art originated and which as well known to the clergy at that time.
Victime Pascali laudes, immolent Christiani, agnus redemitovus, Christus innocent patri, reconciliavit peccatores. Mors et vita duello, conflixere mirando, dux vitae mortuus regnat vivus. Dic nobis Maria, quid vidisti in via, sepulcrum Christi viventis, et gloriam vidi resurgentis. Angelicos testes, sudarium et vestes, surrexit Christus pes mea, precedet suos in Galileam. Simus Christus surrexisse, a mortuis vere, tu nobis victorex miserere.
In conclusion, The recreation of two ritualistic and devotional dances from the Middle Age allow us to better understand, beyond symbols and interpretation of medieval thinking, the purpose of this dance, and live that what your ancestors might have felt while singing their song with strong emotional resonance. The Victime Pascali Laudes, as well as the Cuncti simus, are still performed today in the present liturgy. Despite the gap that separated us from this distant time, the dancers and singers who participate in this project, whether believers or not, feel a great spirituality emanating from these two dances. The song carries and places one body into a consciousness that integrates the participation of everyone within the group, joining in this way the notion of microcosm and macrocosm dear to the men of the Middle Age. The medieval dance, whether sacred or secular, allow everyone to live their dance while respecting her own self and to remain in harmony with the group from which she is a dependent element.